Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of LostinTranslationmon. This time we're covering Digimon Ghost Game episode 35, Werewolf. I'm May, and I'm all on my lonesome. I'm not joined by the lovely Quinn or the legally named Chloe. I'm just on my own, and the reason for that is I was a little bit sick this past week. I'm recovered now more or less. It was just an annoying cold, but I thought it'd be a lot easier if I just sort of took a bit of a step back this week just to fully recover. So it'll just be my quick thoughts, and then the Quinn and Chloe quick comments will be carrying this episode in terms of the podcast recording. But we just thought it would be easier if I also had the time to kind of record this in segments while I'm if I have to cough and pause it and go and do something else for a bit, I can. So that's easier if I just record by myself to do that. So that's why we're recording separately this time. I'm pretty much on the mend, but I just wanted to take it easy to make sure I'm fully recovered. So that's cool. So Quinn and Chloe have sent me through their recording, and as I always do, I'll edit in my thoughts in Quinn and Chloe quick comments. So just before we get into it, quick synopsis. So really sort of goes to this country town where I guess it's kind of her hometown, and we find out about a legend of this werewolf that attacks people, and it has to, the curse is kind of, cured once every 100 years by a sacrifice of a maiden from Ruri's family. So she has to basically sacrifice herself. So she does that just so she can see the werewolf, but she finds out, surprise, surprise, it's a Digimon. It's Manticoremon. So the group fight Manticoremon, Betelgeumamon gets poisoned, Thetisgamamon, that's a new one, Thetismon, sort of gets herself poisoned so she can make the antidote to cure Betelgeumamon and herself, but Symbarangoramon and Manticoremon are still fighting. Symbarangoramon finally evolves to Lemormon, which is cool, and they're about to do battle. Lemormon's kind of beating up Manticoremon when Darkmon shows up and says, "Oh, my bad, I let him off the leash," basically, and he ate the legend and became the werewolf from the legend. And so then we have Ruli saying that she's thinking about the story that her grandma told her about the legend, and I guess it's sort of implied that she's the reincarnation of the werewolf's girlfriend, Moon Princess, that was killed in battle or something. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's when the episode ends. So that's it. And so we'll move on to Quinn and Chloe quick comments. As I mentioned, they will be carrying this episode.
Hi, it's us.
Your friendly neighborhood podcasters who have definitely done this before.
Yeah. Before we get into the regularly scheduled programming, y'all didn't know that you celebrated it, but happy International Legally Chloe Day.
Hell
which passed
yeah.
over this last week. Woo!
Very proud of my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Legal name and everything.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
All right. It's a very happy time. Shall we get started?
Sure.
All right. So, Quinn, we just watched Ghost Game, Digimon, 35th episode, entitled Werewolf. What were your highlights?
Honestly, a big one was just that it wasn't a Garurumon of any sort as the big bad this time, which,
That's fair.
definitely what I assumed we were getting and was prepared to be, kind of bored by.
Okay, fair enough. I know not enough about Digimon to have anticipated that, except from when you just said it, I remembered people talking about that last week on the server.
So Garurumon's evolution is literally where Garurumon. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's fair. That would definitely be the obvious choice, so it's kind of nice that they didn't take the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos. I, for some reason, wrote this down as a highlight, but I'm not going to change it. I hate jump scares, and they got me with that jump scare with the group of the 4 people looking at the wall and trying to spot the werewolf, and then, boo, it's right in front of you. That got me.
Fair enough.
But I'm also just a big baby in general, and don't do horror movies, so I'm weak to jump scares.
I wish we would do more episodes like this, where a good portion of the actual horror is humans are terrible.
Yes, that was a big part of my highlights too. Like we did also have a big bad, which that's fine. But yeah, I did like that part of the horror of this episode was, hey, yeah, really
Granny
these crazy
super
ass
wants you dead.
idiots, they want to kill you because they think it'll like stop whatever's going on, and that's terrifying.
Yeah. Yep.
I also thought it was just a pretty well animated episode, and in hindsight, now knowing that it's an evolution episode, that's not necessarily surprising, but it was nice.
I appreciate a higher budget episode.
Yeah. And then the other highlight is it's not really a huge surprise that it happened, but it was nice to finally see Angoramon get his super Evo or whatever the hell this week. Okay.
To perfect level.
Yeah. And on that note, I thought it was really cool how we, visibly had Lamortmon not being 100% in control.
Yeah, no, that was a surprising choice that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I quite liked that. It's got me hoping that each of the partner Digimon this season is going to have, the evolution that we don't talk about, that we try to avoid, We've got Guluskemon, we've maybe got a similar situation with Lamortmon. I'm wondering which is there something after Super?
Yeah. So
okay. Should we expect to see that from each of them at some point?
Almost certainly.
Okay.
Guaranteed from Hero because he's the protagonist.
Yeah, Hero protagonist.
But in almost all of the recent seasons, it'll be everybody. Especially with only 3 of them.
Fair enough. So I'm wondering if Jellymon's, the one we don't talk about, is going to be the, what would it be, Ultimate? I don't know. Doesn't matter. The one above Tethysmon?
Yeah.
Or if Tethysmon is just low-key, real shady and we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Or one of the other Evos.
The I feel like absolute genius level take here is Jellymon is the evil Jellymon.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just going to be the base Jellymon is the one that is just the worst and is the scary one that we try not to talk about.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I hope that ends up being the case, but it almost certainly won't be.
Oh god, no. I am also not sure they'll execute on having, each of them have an out-of-control version. I will be a little curious. I think Air already said that none of the others get a branching evolution. Otherwise, I would be curious that if Lamortmon was going to be an alternate, and there will be an in-control evolution.
Or it might just be that, now that they've done it once, they're able to do it a lot easier next time, and it'll happen when, Angoramon's not as freaked out, and thus, is just starting from a better position or something. Who knows?
And that'd be really disappointing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but I guess I don't really see how we get to an evolution above Lamortmon if Lamortmon isn't in control.
But we gotta work on it. Have that be an arc. Learn to control the power or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if they do something with that, then I'll take it. But if it,
I would also
if we do just kind of.
I would like to see, you have to learn to be able to use Guluskemon to get to the Mega Ultimate, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. And that was basically what I had for highlights. Did you have anything else?
I don't know how I feel about the ending, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't decide if I wanted to bring that up in my highlights or my lowlights.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up here, but
okay.
If I thought they were gonna come back to this, or that it would matter that Ruri is apparently part of a 600-year-old werewolf cult, it would be an unequivocal highlight, because that would be really cool, interesting development, but we're sure not ever gonna remember, hey Ruri, remember that time that someone wanted to sacrifice you to a werewolf boyfriend?
Mm-hmm. And then you had weird, flashbacks to it or something.
You are possibly the reincarnation of the werewolf's girlfriend.
Yeah,
which is now your light novel.
I died because the peasants hated my werewolf boyfriend, and now I've been reincarnated 600 years in the future
as a
Volume 1. Yeah.
Yep.
Fair enough. Yeah, I thought that part was really cool. I don't really know how I feel about. Oh, whoops! It was just this Digimon.
Sorry, my Digimon got off the leash.
Yeah. Sorry, I let my dog off the leash, and you know how dogs are. They eat the data about the folklore in the area and then act it out. So sorry about that.
Also, when they start doing that, I sure don't care for like a couple of weeks, a month, a while.
Mm-hmm.
Why were we in this town? I guess we're moving into lowlights.
Yeah, let's move on into lowlights. Although I will say, I think the reason they were in the town was because they had heard that things were going on and they were like investigating it as part of Ruli's social media detective agency thing, whose name I'm forgetting the name of.
Yeah, that sure is a thing occasionally.
Yeah. So this is probably pretty nitpicky, but at one point they were like, oh yeah, this thing happens at midnight. And they were like, what time is it? And I was like, oh, it's like, I don't know, 20 minutes to midnight or whatever. Like, it'll be soon. And I'm like, yo, it is way too bright out for it to be midnight. Especially with all the mist that was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That
Also,
would
how
block the
midnight
moonlight.
is called the hour of the rat.
I mean, yeah, you don't call it that. Yeah. So another one that I had was that the Digimon sure just kind of left Ruli hanging out to dry there when she was, offering herself up to the werewolf or whatever. Like, we have previously established in this series that Digimon can be as visible or invisible as they want to be, especially the protagonist's Digimon. So why were Jellymon
earlier in this episode?
Yeah, so like why were Jellymon and Angoramon and Gamamon for that matter all hiding back behind the what are those Torii pillars or whatever?
Yeah.
Why were they hiding back there? They could have been standing right beside Ruli there to protect her, and no one would have been any the wiser except for us, the audience, and probably Hiro too.
Yep.
But instead they just kind of willfully gave her about 100 feet of space so that she could get kidnapped.
Also, Ruri, I mean, they sort of talked about it a little, but, like, the extent to which she did not give the old lady the finger is a little staggering. You want me to what? Nah, fam. I'd like...
Yeah.
Which I guess leads a little bit into my next one, which is, I guarantee you in the first draft of the script, the old lady died and therefore fulfilled the prophecy of sacrificing, a girl to... Which would have been pretty good.
Yeah, I guess I was unclear as why did it have to be Ruli specifically? Was she like a descendant of this clan or whatever? And because she's, young and virginous or whatever?
Yeah, basically. You are part of the clan, apparently, and of the right age, and also that old woman doesn't like you. I'm a little unclear why the cousin or whatever wasn't viable, but I think they maybe went out of their way to say it's a relation by marriage.
She married into the family rather than being a pure blood, which, yikes.
Has its own.
But
also,
it's whole
it's been 600
thing.
years. That blood is not pure unless you all have been doing some
horribly inbred.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you don't live in Alabama, so...
There's got to be a Japanese equivalent to Alabama, though, right? I mean, I hope not, but I bet there is.
Yes, but I don't think with the incest assumption, but...
Well, here's hoping.
Yeah.
My next low light is that I almost really liked that we did a, there is no Digimon, it's just spooky stuff episode, except that, in the end we didn't actually really do there's no Digimon, it's just spooky stuff episode.
They split the difference? There was a Digimon, but also there is maybe spooky stuff?
But the spooky stuff stopped 600 years ago, except maybe not, because then there's also the AU at the end.
Yeah, but also it's definitely not gonna, continue happening, because then we'd have to come back.
Yeah. So yeah, I almost really liked that, and I do hope that we get one episode at some point during the series where it is actually just ghosts.
It was a ghost.
Not Digimon, not
Scooby-Doo
digital ghosts, just ghosts. Yeah, and I think Scooby-Doo saved it for the movie, but
They did.
But hey, the Ghost Game, this is your opportunity to one-up Scooby-Doo. Are you just gonna let that slip by? You better not.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna let the Scooby-Doo terrible live-action movie one-up you? Which also did that?
Yeah, but Zombie Island did it first, and Zombie Island was good.
Zombie Island was pretty okay. And
it had the Hex Girls?
Yeah!
This is now the Scooby-Doo Zombie Island podcast. Yeah. Who's your favorite character? Sorry, did you have any other lowlights first?
I think I got all my big ones.
Okay, me too. Favorite character?
Ruri, for the most part, I was pretty on board with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, big same. Not really much of a surprise there, I think. She girl bossed, but not in a gaslight way, you know?
Yeah. I wish we'd been able to take the 30 seconds of Digimon Analyzer and give it to her to, like, explicitly talk about it on her social media or whatever. But, yeah.
Yeah. But, overall, it was, I was happy to see really get the spotlight for a change. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, they were sort of, legally obligated. It was her episode, and yet I was a little surprised when Hero didn't come up with a solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of pleasantly surprised when it was just, the other two Digimon got incapacitated. What are you going to do? Yeah. Yep. So, really gang for life. Rating and ranking?
Let's see. I gave it a 4 and placed it in 15th place, just above episode 31.
All right.
Let me check which episode was 31 because I don't have the name memorized. 31 was... This is great air. Killer Blade.
Yes, this cursed samurai sword one.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. It was hard for me to decide where I landed on this episode. It was tough because half of me is like, I liked this episode, and half of me is like, I've lowered my ranking of other episodes for less. So, I don't know. I think I was flip-flopping back and forth between a 4 and a 4.5, and I think I'm leaning on the 4.5 side of things, because even if there were some things in there that I probably, I've deducted from on other episodes, they did some nice things this episode that they don't normally do, that just kind of, shook it up a bit and made it feel a little more fresh or something.
Yeah.
We didn't end on an Angoramon quote this time. That's something.
Yeah, we still got one.
We got one, but we didn't end on it.
True.
We ended on a weird, ambiguous, are there werewolves out there? The world will never know sort of note. And yeah.
Darkmon sure exists for reasons, I guess.
Yeah, that means nothing to me, but yeah.
No, just, there sure was the angel thing that showed up at the end with the pet.
With the dog Manticoremon.
Yep. My bee.
Mm-hmm.
Won't happen again, promise on my honor.
Yeah.
Which was not besmirched when this happened the first time.
Apparently not. I think in the end I'm going to give it a 4.5, and I'm putting it in 9th place above episode 2, Mystery of the Museum, I think.
That's fair.
Yeah. You got any miscellaneous thoughts?
It's been like 20 episodes since Digimon invented Polly, and I'm real sad that we haven't done anything with that.
And wait, what?
When Kyoshiro...
controlling other... Yeah. Why did you have to phrase it like that?
Because that's just immediately what everyone thought of. Okay. As Anthony put it, this is my partner Jellymon, and this is her partner Ruri.
Yeah, that's fair. It's
Digimon invented Polly, and that's interesting, and we're kind of running out of episodes to develop on.
Do we know how many episodes there are?
We don't. Historically, between 50 and 60.
We're only at 35. We got, lowball 15 more left.
That's fair.
It's not a ton of time, but it's not nothing either.
Yeah, it's I say it every week, but they're making some very weird decisions.
Such as?
I know I say it every week, but I know it's episodic, but damn, they just keep dribbling out interesting little tidbits of plot that seem significantly more interesting than what's actually happening in the episode every week. For instance, the new Angoramon form being unable to control himself. That's interesting, and probably won't come up again for like 8 weeks.
I don't know. I hope it'll come back up, because like the last time we had a Digimon partner who wasn't fully in control, we've obviously revisited Gulus. So I don't know. Hopefully. Yeah. My miscellaneous thoughts, I mentioned one earlier out of order at the beginning of the episode, which is I legally changed my name to Chloe finally. Hooray! And my next one was that when Granny got smacked by the digitentacle or whatever, there's literally no way she survived being thrown like that. She's dead as heck.
That's what I'm saying. The script obviously called for her to be dead at that point, and then we resolved
and
this
honestly,
instead of Darkmon showing up with just, and the werewolf was satisfied.
Yeah, that would also be another way to take it. Honestly, it would make more sense for it to be Granny's ghost looking down the mountain at Rui than being actually Granny being already okay again if she had to be taken to the hospital. You know? And then, did I mention earlier how cool it would be if all the Digimon partners had a scary Evo? I think I did, right? We talked about that. Yeah, we definitely
it's still
did.
true.
Yeah, it'd be neat. And I do actually like the thought that, maybe the scary Evo of Jellymon is just the, child level
You're
or
saying
whatever.
Bender
Jellymon.
is the evil Bender?
I'm shocked! Well, not that shocked. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or if it's, that Tesla Jellymon or Tethysmon have a dark side that we don't know about yet. Or, maybe it's whatever comes after Tethysmon. But I think it'd be cool if it was, maybe Jellymon's been playing the ghost game this whole time and is manipulating Hero's dad from beyond the grave or something.
The faction.
So, moving on to miscellaneous thoughts about the series thus far. Did we imply that Digimon have been around for hundreds of years?
So there is a canonical answer on this, and I
no.
hate that I know it and can tell you.
I hate it too. Please tell me.
So, the Digimon, the digital world, canonically came to exist in all parts of the multiverse which have Digimon. At the instant that the first computer was made, the Antonosoft Berry computer, or ABC, which was then personified-ish into the server that controls the time-space continuum.
So when was this?
This would be 80 years ago.
80 years ago. Okay.
At the University of Iowa. Excuse me, at Iowa State University.
Is that actual fact or is that Digimon fact?
That is a real computer that existed slightly before the ENIAC machine, which is also part of that same canon thing.
Okay.
But yeah, the part where the ENIAC machine and the ABC are sentient intelligences governing all of time-space existence.
That's definitely real life, right? Yeah.
That is questionably canon to real life.
Okay, neat. Well, okay, so I guess that gives me my answer, but definitely not for 600 years. So.
No. The only way it
was
works
actually
is if
it was
either crazy people or werewolf. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just superstitious crazies, but whatever.
Yeah. At the same time, we sure did imply Ruri is reincarnated.
Yeah. I guess my next miscellaneous thought about the series thus far, which I didn't write down, but you raise a good point, is that gosh, I hope they ever mention that again or do something with it again, or it would be neat if there's a reason that these kids get to see the digital ghost besides they're friends with Hero, and Hero has the cool dad who knows about stuff.
And MIT graduate who decided to live in your dorm room for reasons.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it'd be
he
cool.
just takes us on road trips to places where ghosts happen to be.
Yeah. And I mean, now I could definitely see a reason why Kiyoshiro would be able to see ghosts, because, he basically got almost killed twice last episode, or whichever episode that was.
Yeah.
But, it'd be cool if they, all sort of had you're a reincarnation of some weird folklore thing that got sacrificed or killed, and that's why you're special in particular.
Okay.
And I'm sure we won't ever get that, but it'd be kind of
neat.
God, maybe. No. Or maybe it would be bad. I don't really know, honestly. I'm just talking at this point.
Yeah. However, I'm sleepy, and
That's fair.
I'm ready.
Do you have any thoughts about what we're gonna get next episode?
No, you and Air have said something about a movie called The Descent that I've never even heard of, so maybe I'll watch that if I get the time.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be cool. I've seen Air saying that it's basically the Descent episode, and I liked the Descent, although I admit I didn't watch a ton of it. Or I wasn't paying super close attention because I'm a big baby who doesn't do horror movies well. But the descent was pretty good, so I'll be interested to see how it goes. It looks like it's significantly more like, I mean, it's a children's show and not a literal horror movie, so I guess of course it's going to be a bit more tame. There weren't really puzzles in the descent. It was just you're getting killed. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how it is. It almost gives me like a, for some reason it gives me Yu-Gi-Oh vibes, although I'm not sure why.
Yeah, couldn't.
But the idea of, like, maybe because they're wandering through the labyrinth, what was the deal with the Millennium Puzzle? I don't know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
I hope this all ends up in the thing and doesn't get sliced up.
I think it probably will.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to say about this episode. Do you? Or anything else to say on the recording? Cool. Okay. Well, this has been whatever our segment is called. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And now we're back to me to give my thoughts quickly, do the Postmon Pat, and then wrap up the episode on my own. So just quickly, discussion time. So highlights, the animation was great. I was also happily surprised that we didn't get Garurumon as the Mon of the Week. It was nice we got Manticoremon. I don't think I could have guessed that. It's not a werewolf Digimon, so I wouldn't have guessed that at all. It was kind of nice to have something that was a surprise. It was a surprising choice of Digimon, and I really appreciated that. This episode also felt more like a horror movie than other episodes. It was even paced like one. The group goes to some new location with some legend of a monster, and then they have to solve it with a sacrifice. That feels very horror movie. I'm a big fan of that. I do like that. I like how, and I hopefully the next episode also has that kind of horror movie feel, but I'm a really big fan of the way that this each episode is paced like a horror movie. Sometimes some episodes work better than others, and this episode worked pretty well. It was paced fairly okay, except for one thing, which I'll get into in my lowlights, but overall it felt more like a horror movie than the previous episodes. Something else that we almost did that I did like was there was a moment where I felt like we were almost doing it's not always a Digimon, it might actually just be a ghost. I've mentioned this very early on in the podcast coverage that I was hoping that we would get something that they think it's going to be a Digimon, but it turns out to not be a Digimon and to actually be a monster, like a literal monster of the week. And it almost did that. It was still the legend. The legend did predate a Digimon and it did predate the hologram ghosts, but it didn't go super into it. But I'm willing to say that it did at least steal something from legend, which may or may not have really being being a descendant of the Moon Princess. So sort of a real thing, sort of predating Digimon. So I do appreciate that. So that was some great things. And also, I know I mentioned the animation already, but that evolution animation was just chef's kiss beautiful. Lowlights, my main lowlight, and this is like something that just really just threw me about the episode, was the battle, and the ending felt kind of weird. Like, it just kind of ended. We were having this really cool battle. It was really well animated. It was really exciting. And then really just yells, stop. And the Mormon stops. And then Darkmon shows up and she's like, oh, my bad. Like, I feel like that, again, not so good with ending an episode. I wish we did something better there, but it's not the worst thing in the world, but it did hurt this episode a lot in terms of my own personal enjoyment of it. Favourite character, I'm going to have to say the same as Quinn and Chloe and say Ruli. Rating, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was fine. However, since a lot of my ratings have like 4s and 5s, it's actually quite far down on my overall rating and ranking of the series. It got 25th place, but that's just a testament to how good the other episodes are. So it's sitting in there mainly because the ending felt kind of weird. And that means with all of our ratings added up together, that means it's 11.5 out of 5, which puts it in 19th place in our overall ranking between the three of us. So that's where that goes. I don't really have any miscellaneous thoughts because I'm kind of running through this because, as I mentioned, I am trying to step back because I'm a little bit sick. But we can move on to Postmon Pat. So over on YouTube, first up we have Gold Stars, who says that episode 34 was an aggressively mid-episode. You'd think that an episode where Hero returns back home for the first time in a while and features his childhood friend would have a bit more fanfare, but all of it does is just turns out to be completely unnecessary set dressing. And yeah, I completely agree. The fact that it's his hometown means next to nothing. You could put it you could put it just being at the dorm and nothing would change. Like, absolutely nothing would change here, just the setting. And Goldstar says it could just be at the dorm and have Kotaro, another random student, and literally nothing would happen. Completely agree there. They say that really turning into a gecko person was completely unneeded, and yeah, I agree. It was just basically to limit down the amount of people who can be in the battle, I guess. They say that they liked the joke at the end where she literally had no clue what was going on, but it definitely wasn't worth her getting sidelined again. It feels like ever since the second half of the show started, they feel the need to nerf Ruri by constantly having her dunked on, glued or sidestepped, and it's really annoying because she's a cool character. And yeah, they're doing it with Kyoshiro too in a lot of episodes. They're kind of just sidelining characters quite a bit, not as much as Adventure Colon, and not too much, but yeah, I have noticed that they are putting characters away just so they can not participate in the battle. It's kind of weird there. Next we have JC105 who says Wall Crawlers was pretty boring. It had about as much life as an actual ghost would have, and they really hope that something interesting happens soon, because decently horrific moments aside, the show's spinning its wheel in the mud. Similarly to Colin, it gave us something exciting early on, Omegamon/Ghoulish Gammon, and hasn't done much since. And yeah, I do get where you're coming from. I don't fully agree, because I am enjoying it more than I did for Colin, but I do get what you mean. Like, it hasn't really given us much else in terms of like stuff going on. Like, it hasn't given us much about Ghoulish Gammon, or much about the dad, or much about the Black Tailmon, or Black Agumon, or Black Gargomon for that matter. So I do get what you're saying there, but maybe I'm just too hopeful that we'll get something soon, or that will, I don't know, something will happen, hopefully anyway. Next we have Shoutmon, who says that we still need the Angoramon evolution, hoping it'll be next week's episode. Yep, it was. Next we have Lazy Croconaw, who says the episode was okay and that it's enjoyable, so yeah, it's being okay. Next episode seems interesting. They would bet money that Lamormon will appear soon because of the new poster featuring him and the Perfects. Yep, Lamormon was in this episode. Also, speaking of the new poster, it also came with a new tag, which is the Myself is Accelerating, which gives the impression that we'll progress something, and hope that something is Ghoulish, their beloved. Even though they enjoy the episodic things, they also would like to see some progress in the bridge between Digimon and human. Ghoulish and whatever Hero's dad is doing, definitely not dead, wink. And yeah, I'm hoping that now that we're done with the perfect levels, we can move on with some plot, hopefully, I guess. Like, we don't know if they have megas or what their megas are because they haven't appeared in any art already. So it's kind of a big question mark. Like, we don't know what the any future evolutions from here are, or if we'll get any. Next we have Narumi, who says the episode is bland and childish. It became their least favourite episode of the season. Nothing happened, felt like it wasted their time watching it, and they thought that Hero's childhood would be shown, but no, they only showed one picture, and yeah, I agree. I wish we saw a bit of Hero's childhood there. Anyway, they go on to say, and they're starting to be annoyed by Hero, at least really, and Kiyoshiro are way more interesting than Hero. Absolutely agree. They then finish off to say they're excited for the next episode, and they're hoping it's Lamormon because Toei released the poster with all the ultimate level Digimon. And yeah, I was happy that we got Lamormon too. I saw lots of posts on Twitter that were from the official Digimon Twitter account again, posting that Lamormon was in this episode, and that was several hours before the Crunchyroll debut. So yeah, I was like, yay, I guess. Then lastly, we have Andrew says that this episode, as in next week, which is today's episode, is a Ruri episode, and they're wondering if it'll be an evolution episode or an Angoramon episode. And they think it's kind of rare that, or maybe this is the first time where the Digimon is getting more focused than the chosen child itself, and they're wondering if it's going to be an evolution episode or another fake out. Yay, well it was an evolution episode, yay! And they're wondering if it'll be a dark evolution, and Lamormon did seem more out of control than you would expect. However, I was kind of surprised that it seemed as in control as it did by the actual art for Lamormon. I thought it was going to be some crazy out of control monster, but it didn't end up being so that's fine. But in general, those are all the Postmon Pat we have this week. So I guess I do have a miscellaneous thought, which I was reminded after Andrew's comment that, yeah, I guess my predictions about Lamormon being this out-of-control monster were completely wrong. Lamormon seems very in control, maybe still a little bit angry, I guess, but still, it's still Angoramon. Like, really said, stop, and Lamormon stopped. Even though he seemed like he was going a little bit, like, out of control, like he was getting violent, he was just hitting Manticormon over and over again. That seemed kind of out of control. as soon as really said stop, it stopped. So I was kind of like, oh, I guess it's just a normal Digimon that looks angry and scary, which is fine, but I kind of wanted more from that. But that's not really a negative, that's just my own predictions that were wrong. Thoughts about the series so far? Yep, I'm still enjoying it. As I said, the testament to how this episode is a 3 and so low down just means how good the other episodes is. So that's still good. I'm still enjoying this series. Lastly, predictions for next episode, episode 36, Labyrinth of Grief. I mentioned in the synopses overview video that came out a few weeks ago when we got the synopses for this chunk of episodes, is that this episode seems to be exactly like the plot of The Descent. In fact, I'm going to get up the plot of The Descent, or just the very, very basic synopses for it, which apparently I cannot find. Let's see. Caving expedition goes horribly wrong as the explorers become trapped and ultimately pursued by a strange breed of predators. And it's just a bunch of friends who go down spelunking and they get separated one by one, and there's some monsters, and this next episode of Ghost Game seems exactly like that. So I'm guessing it's going to be a sort of soft reference to that movie, I guess, hopefully. Looking forward to it. Recently saw that movie, recently loved that movie. Haven't seen the sequel yet, kind of want to. But yeah, so that's exciting. So that's all my discussion points. Alright, time for me to wrap up quickly. So the link dump is in the description. Definitely always check that out. If we mention something like the gecko video from the last recording, I put that in the link dump, but I still had people asking me where was the video. It's always in the link dump. If I mention something, it will tend to be put in the link dump, but if it's not there, then ask, but always check that out. Redbubble's also linked in the description, and so are various ways for you to contact us, such as sending us spam to our Gmail email address, which is LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or of course you can comment on this episode on Lost in Translationmon or on YouTube. You can also follow LostinTranslationmon on Twitter, and you can find us on Lost in Translationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm at Digimon_hero on TikTok, and I stream on twitch.tv/translationmon. You can chat with all of us on Lost in Translationmon Discord server, and if you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can donate to us on our Patreon, which links in the description from as little as $1 a month. And that gets you access to the Patreon-only areas of our Discord server, but there are higher levels, more rewards, unedited and early episodes, and more. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Stephen Reeves, who is 164 on Archive Our Own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Neobu, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Lizmet, who is Lake One on Tumblr, Nicholas, Sam, Emery from Gone Hunting at Hunter Rewatch Podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Grey Tanuki, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who is on Twitch at The Digital Hazard, Dedicated Gazi, Elemus, Michael, and Teropiamon. You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which we found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/airdramon. You can also donate to me on my Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/airdra. And that's it for this week's episode. Remember to leave your thoughts in the comments on YouTube. Like this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Please subscribe. I'm trying to, pipe dream, get 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Not going so well, but if you're listening to this and you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Thanks to Quinn and Chloe for joining me on the podcast. Even though we're separate, our hearts are close together as always. And thanks for listening to the listeners. And of course, we will see you on the next one. Bye!